Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. With the Redmi XL TV being launched recently, I actually wanted to compare it with the competition and give you my 2 cents on it in the process. Now, I know I've said this in my previous videos before, but I would like to mention this here again. When you purchase a mobile phone, right, it's a device for yourself. But when you purchase a television, it's no longer a device only for yourself, but also for your family. And it's not something that you change every year like you would perhaps with a mobile phone. It's something that sticks with you for at least 4 to 5 years, maybe more. So I just wanted to put it out there before I start this video. Today's video is going to be a comparison between the Redmi XL TV along with a few of its competition. And we're going to deep dive into different aspects of what these televisions have to offer and get to know all about them in the process. Let's get started, folks. Let's begin with the TV OS or the operating system. Now, all these televisions have Android operating systems, but the variance is in the TV OS and the update. For instance, the Redmi XL TV comes with Android 10 TV OS, and so does the Motorola ZX Pro. But the Nokia TV and the Hisense Tornado comes with the Android 9 TV OS. Now, in addition to the Android 10 TV OS, the Redmi XL TV also comes with something it calls the Patchwall UI or the Patchwall user interface. It's quite a nice user interface. In fact, something which has been ripped off of Apple, you could say. But coming to the interface, it does nothing but curates content for you because there are so many shows, so many movies across all these various streaming platforms. Sometimes you have this tendency to get lost, and it kind of helps in that section because it curates content based on the relevant searches that you're making, and then it shows all of those searches right in front of you on the home page. That's why I believe in terms of the TV operating systems, in addition to it having the Android 10 TV OS, it also has something called the Patchwall interface, and I personally, for one, would choose the Patchwall user interface over just a standard Android 10 TV OS. And in case you are looking for future proofing, then there you have it. It's got Android 10 and not Android 9 TV OS like the Nokia or like the Hisense Tornado. So even from the future proofing terms, you are actually securing yourself because it's got Android 10. The bonus is the Patchwall user interface. So in terms of the TV OS, I for one would go along with the Redmi XL TV. Let's move over to the display now, which is clearly the most important factor when you're purchasing a TV. Now, the Redmi XL TV has no mention of what kind of panel it uses on its spec sheet. It kind of makes you wonder why. But from what I could gather, they do mention that it's an A+ grade panel, and plus it's an 8-bit plus FRC panel, which is an IPS panel, and a DLED for that. Now, most of the TVs in this comparison, they have DLED panels with the exception of the Motorola ZX Pro, which claims to have an edge-lit panel, edge-lit IPS panel. What's the difference between an edge-lit versus a DLED? I have made a video which talks about this in detail, so I'm not going to get into that. I would rather place the card somewhere here on the screen, and you can take a look at the video should you decide to want to know more about the differences between edge-lit and DLED panels. Personally, in terms of the panel type, I prefer DLEDs over edge-lit panels, but I may be willing to sacrifice in terms of the panel for other features in abundance. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But let's move over to the next point. Now, most of the televisions, even in the budget section, now come with Dolby Vision. On this comparison list, the only TV which does not have Dolby Vision is the Nokia TV. The question that one could ask is, does it make a difference? Well, yes it does, because Dolby Vision is dynamic HDR and not static HDR like the one that you have on the Nokia television. The Nokia television also has HDR10, but it does not have HDR10 Plus, which is the dynamic HDR. So dynamic HDR definitely makes a difference in terms of your viewing, your visual experience. And moving forward into the future, because like I said when I started this video, right, a television is going to stay with you for the next 4 to 5 years. You're going to have more and more content creators who are going to have dynamic HDR implemented into their video creation. Take iPhones as an example. Now you are recording HDR videos, Dolby Vision HDR videos through your mobile device. So you're going to have more and more content there. So again, in terms of future proofing, all three televisions except for the Nokia TV come with Dolby Vision, and you can't go wrong if Dolby Vision is something that you crave for in a television. While we are still on the topic of display and talking about how good the picture quality is, let's also talk about the brightness. Now clearly on this list, the Nokia TV is the brightest of the lot with 420 nits of peak brightness, followed by the Motorola ZX Pro, which claims to have 400 nits of brightness. But do brightness levels in TV actually matter? Yes and no. Let me try to explain that, alright? I'll give you an example from my own personal experience. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I own a 50-inch Nokia TV. And that 50-inch Nokia TV comes along with 380 nits of peak brightness. Now, when I watch my content, I generally watch my content in a dark room, turning all the lights off. And when I'm doing that, the TV, the 380 nits of brightness gets so bright that it actually starts hurting my eyes. In fact, I dial down on the brightness levels and I keep the brightness levels at around 50 to 60% mark at most. It's like, you're sitting in a room, a dark room with your computer, and you're in front of the computer, you do dial down on the brightness levels even then, because it kind of hits your eyes, it starts hurting your eyes. So same goes for my Nokia TV, and it's okay as long as I watch it in a dark room. So that's why the you could say the no. But when it comes to the yes, why does brightness levels matter? Now imagine another scenario where you have a television placed in a brightly lit room and you have some natural light hitting the television. Now, in case your television is not bright enough, you are not going to enjoy that. All right. So here's where the yes and the no comes into the picture. As long as you're watching your content in a dark room, it should be fine. If you have, say, about 200 to 250 nits of brightness, that's why the Redmi XL TV really suffers, and that's where it comes in. Now the problem with the Redmi XL TV is that there is no mention of the brightness levels. And again, it makes you wonder why, right? If you compare it to its predecessor, the Mi TV 4X, I believe the Mi TV 4X came with around 200 or 250 nits of brightness. And the same case here exists with the Redmi XL TV as well. It only comes with around 200 to 250 nits of brightness. Now, again, the yes and the no, right? When it comes to watching content with dynamic HDR like Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus, the peak brightness would matter because there are going to be different areas of the screen which would light up differently based on the scene. And this is where the brightness comes into the picture. Now, if you have a TV which has only 200 to 250 nits of brightness, I don't think it will be able to do justice to that HDR10 Plus content, if you understand where I'm coming from. That's why even in my previous videos, I have mentioned that to enjoy HDR content, you do require at least a minimum of 350 nits of brightness. And this is one area where the Redmi XL TV falls flat. I mean, 200 to 250 nits of brightness is just not done. And it is not something that you can increase later on, right? For instance, if the sound is not optimum, you can connect a sound bar to it and amplify or increase the sound. But in this case, it is coming with a hardware restriction. You can't increase the brightness. It's limited to the 200 to 250 nits. So despite of the fact that it has Dolby Vision, despite of the fact that it may boast of HDR10 Plus, you're not going to be able to enjoy it the way you wanted to with that 200 to 250 nits of brightness. I do wish that they had gone with the 350 nits of brightness at least. But if you are in a dark room, it won't matter as much. But if you have your television kept in a brightly lit room with some natural light hitting your television, my advice is stay away from the Redmi XL TV and don't buy it. MEMC or motion smoothing. Now I've made a whole video dedicated to explaining what MEMC is and how it can impact your viewing experience positively or negatively. Again, I'm going to put up the card. Should you decide to check that out, go ahead and take a look at that video. Coming back to it, all TVs in this comparison have MEMC except the Nokia TV. It does not have any MEMC. The Motorola ZX Pro, although it has MEMC, a lot of the users who have been communicating with me through the comments in my previous videos, they have complained about the fact that you can't turn it on or off on the Motorola ZX Pro. Now that is a problem because a lot of people do not enjoy watching movies with MEMC turned on. Some people just don't like it, right? I personally like it, but choice is subjective. That brings us to the Redmi XL TV and also the Hisense Tornado. Now both of them have a good implementation of MEMC because you can turn the MEMC feature on or off depending upon the content that you are consuming. And that is a good way to implement MEMC. But on the Motorola ZX Pro, despite of the fact that you have MEMC, there is no way of turning it on or off. Therefore, it falls short when it comes to the implementation part. And I personally would not choose the Motorola ZX Pro just for the MEMC reason. But if you like MEMC, if you're one of those who enjoy content using MEMC turned on, then Redmi XL TV and the Hisense Tornado are the televisions to go for. And personally, I've told this in my previous videos as well, I would rather have a feature and the ability to turn it on or off than to not have the feature at all. And that's one place where Nokia TV really lags behind because it does not have MEMC. And therefore you will not be able to turn it on or off because it's not there in the first place, and it falls behind in terms of features so far. My pick when it comes to MEMC would be Hisense Tornado or the Redmi XL TV. We now move over to the addition of 2.1 HDMI. I know a lot of people are wondering, everybody's talking about 2.1 HDMI. Does it actually make a difference? Yes and no again. I know I'm giving you, confusing answers here, but that is the reality. Let me explain why yes and why no. Let's start with the no first. It doesn't make a difference because generally 2.1 HDMI is great for gaming, but it's great for gaming on televisions which have 120 Hz refresh rate. And none of the TVs in this comparison have 120 Hz refresh rates. That's why the no. It will not make a difference when it comes to your gaming. What it will make a difference though would be on the dynamic range, which is the high dynamic range. So Dolby Vision content or HDR10 plus content, you will be able to benefit somehow. And like I said, more and more content creators will make their content in HDR. So 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, you will definitely benefit from having a television which has 2.1 HDMI input. And therefore, Redmi XL TV and the Motorola ZX Pro take the cake or take this round because they do have HDMI 2.1. Let's move over to the sound now. This is where the Redmi XL TV falls flat. The sound output, first of all, it's just 30 watts. Secondly, what is weird about it is that it advertises having Dolby Atmos. But you know what? You can only enjoy Dolby Atmos when you actually connect it to an external sound bar or a sound system which has Dolby Atmos. You won't be able to enjoy it natively on the television itself. That means you have to shell out another at least say 15 to 20,000 on getting a good Dolby Atmos compatible sound system. And that is just insane. It just doesn't make any sense. If you want to upgrade it in the future, 1 year, 2 years down the line, maybe when the Dolby Atmos soundbars or sound system prices come down, well, yes, you can do that. So the upgradable factor is there. But when it comes to the sound, it falls absolutely flat. At that price, if you add in another 15 to 20K, it becomes extremely expensive. So it no longer stays in that budget, right? When it comes to the sound, if you're a sound freak, the best option straight out of the box in this TV comparison would be the Hisense Tornado because it comes with 102 watts of sound which is tuned by JBL. Plus, it also has Dolby Atmos in the TV itself, in the TV speaker. In case you're wondering, why did I not bring in the View Action TV in this comparison? Well, the View Action TV and the Hisense Tornado, they're the same television. The only difference is the View Action TV it's got a View badge instead of the Hisense badge, and it's 5,000 rupees more expensive. So why would I bring it here? Because it makes more sense for you to buy the Hisense Tornado. That's why I just thought I'll mention that. So if it's really sound that you crave, and if you're a sound freak, go with the Hisense Tornado straight out of the box, 102 watts of sound tuned by JBL with Dolby Atmos. And the second option would be the Motorola ZX Pro. Moving over to the connectivity or the Wi-Fi features. Now, 3 TVs in this comparison come with the dual band Wi-Fi with the exception of the Nokia TV. I know, 2020, no dual band Wi-Fi. I don't know what Nokia was thinking, but from my personal experience, let me tell you that even with the single band Wi-Fi, Nokia does not fall shy of getting good speeds. I mean, if you have a steady 30 to 35 Mbps worth of internet connection, a steady connection that is, then you can still enjoy 4K content without any issues, even with the single band Wi-Fi on the Nokia TV. But it's always good to have dual band Wi-Fi because more and more content will be 4K content and the quality of these will be more and more demanding. So it's always good to have the dual band Wi-Fi, and the Nokia TV clearly lacks in that area. So you can choose from any of these 3 other TVs, the Motorola ZX Pro, the Redmi XL TV or the Hisense Tornado, because they all have dual band Wi-Fi. Let's talk about the RAM and storage as well. I personally did not want to talk about this a lot because to me it does not matter. I believe 16 GB RAM in a TV is good enough. You don't really need 32 gigabytes worth of RAM or internal storage, that is, sorry. All these televisions, they come with 2 GB RAM, and the only TV which offers 32 gigabytes worth of RAM in this list is the Motorola ZX Pro. And unless you are downloading Android games and storing them internally on your television, it just doesn't make sense. 16 GB is more than enough. All your apps will run smoothly. There will be no lag, no stutters, nothing. Even the patch wall interface with the Android 10 has improved over the patch wall interface with Android 9. So it is definitely comparatively more smoother. It is more seamless, and you will have good experience with the patch wall UI. The 16 GB RAM will not matter. Finally, let's talk about the price and my final thoughts and conclusion. Now, in terms of the pricing, I'm just going to flash up all the prices of these different televisions. Apart from that, I'm also going to mention it in the description box. And should you decide to buy any of these TVs, you can just click on those links and buy those televisions using those links conveniently. Now, coming back to what I think about these TVs, the most rounded offering in all of the televisions that you have on screen, I think the Motorola ZX Pro is perhaps the most rounded option, but it does come with a couple of problems. Number one is the problem of the edge-lit panel. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with an edge-lit panel. It's just personal preference. I prefer D-LEDs over edge-lits, and I've explained that in a video. Should you decide to watch it, watch it. I think it will definitely help you understand why I choose D-LEDs over edge-lits. The second problem with the Motorola ZX Pro is the implementation of MEMC. It's a poor implementation. There's no way to turn it on or off, and I believe it's just a gimmick when it comes to talking about MEMC or RTCE in this case. That's what it advertises the motion smoothing as. Moving over to the Hisense Tornado. Now, the Hisense Tornado does not have HDMI 2.1 and it does not come with Android 10 tvOS. It instead comes with Android 9 tvOS. I just wish they would have come up with Android 10 tvOS. It would have been so much better in terms of the offering. But when it comes to sound, there's no beating the Hisense Tornado. It gives you a fantastic straight out of the box experience with the 102 watts of sound output tuned by JBL. Now, the Nokia in terms of the features lags behind and is perhaps the last on the list. Now, in case you're wondering, why did you buy a Nokia TV? I know that could be a question on your mind. Now, number one, the Motorola ZX Pro had not released when I purchased my Nokia TV. The only other option was the Motorola Revo, and the Motorola Revo TV was not available in my PIN code. So that's why I went along with the Nokia TV. And I'm happy with my purchase in terms of the picture quality or in terms of the sound. You do get good picture and sound quality for the price that you're paying. But the human heart, it always wants more. Coming back to the Motorola ZX Pro, I do want to mention one more point is the fact that they include a gamepad even with your television. So you don't have to invest in an additional gamepad. And I think you can use that additional 16 gigabytes worth of RAM, right? Because it comes with 32 gigs instead of 16 gigs like on these other televisions. So in case you want to download those Android games, you can download it, use that gamepad and start gaming on the gamepad on the Motorola ZX Pro as well. Now, that brings us finally to the Redmi XL TV. Let's talk about that now. The Redmi XL TV does most things right. It checks off, in fact, all the right boxes. What do I mean by that? HDMI 2.1, check. Dual band Wi-Fi, check. Dolby Vision, check. So that's what I mean by checking off all the right boxes. In fact, even MEMC, check. Android 10 tvOS, check. So yes, it does a lot of things right, but again, just like the Motorola ZX Pro, it has its own set of problems. Number one, the panel brightness, and number two, sound. So if at all you have your TV placed in a bright room, like I said earlier on, stay away from the Redmi XL TV, because I don't think your viewing will be as pleasurable an experience. But if you are watching your content in a dark room with all the lights turned off, like I generally do, in that case, it won't matter much. The 200 to 250 nits of brightness should be good enough, provided you dial it right up to 100% brightness. And then you'll be able to enjoy in a dark room with the Redmi XL TV. Well, it is future-proofed in comparison to the other televisions. And the beauty is that it even comes with a DLED panel, a DLED IPS panel. So that's why if I do consume my content in a dark room, then yes, I would definitely go along with the Redmi XL TV. And I would also have to keep one more possibility open in my mind, that 1 year or 2 years down the line, when maybe Dolby Atmos sound bars or sound systems are comparatively cheaper, I could perhaps invest in a Dolby Atmos system 1 year or 2 years down the line. But that would add to the overall cost, and perhaps it will bring the cost over to somewhere around the 50K mark for a 55-inch TV. But it future-proofs because of the Android 10 tvOS and because of the HDMI 2.1. So again, if you do enjoy your content in a dark room, Redmi XL TV is the way to go. The more rounded TV in this comparison, with that exception of the implementation of the MEMC and the edge-lit panel, would be the Motorola ZX Pro. You can't go wrong with either of these two televisions. So these two televisions would be my pick if I had to choose, based on your preference. All right. So that's my thoughts, or that's how I would conclude this video. It is a great value for money at that price that it's coming at. I believe they have priced it beautifully to compete with its competition. That brings us to the end of this video, folks. What do you think about this video? Do let me know in the comment box. If you purchased any of these TVs, share your experiences with us so that we can have the entire community, my channel community, to know more about these televisions as well. Now, that's a wrap for this one, folks. You know what to do. If you have liked the video, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to stay notified with all my latest videos, hit that bell icon, and you will get a notification whenever I upload a new video. Now, your comments, your suggestions makes my channel go and grow. So please keep them coming. I love to hear from you after every video I post. In fact, I look forward to your comments and suggestions. So please write to me and let me know your thoughts. It's a wrap for this one, folks. This is me signing off. Until we meet again in the next one, take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.